Hello, students. How are you doing? It's a nice day today. Sun's been coming in and out, a little bit of cloudy. Maybe this week we're going to have some snow. I don't think so. I hope not. But we are going to be talking about the last element of art, space. And the reason why we learn the elements of art is so that we can talk about our drawings and we can make our drawings stronger in design. Our drawings can be simple or they can look real. So the more you understand the elements of art and how to use them, the stronger your designs will be. And if you want to draw a tree, it's going to look more real. When you understand the elements of art, form, and space, those are the main ones that help you to make something look just like you see it. So, we've talked about line, shape, color, value, texture, and form. The element of art, space, refers to all the areas that are between, around, within the rest of the elements of art. So if you look at this artwork that I have on the wall, it's called a triptych because there's three of them. So these lines, the space in between this line and all of this shape here, that is space. There's space in between these lines. There's space that is red. There's space up there that's red. There's space that's gray and it has some lines. There's some space here, this area, that is light gray. So whenever you are drawing with line or with color and with shapes and value, you have positive space and you have negative space. So the negative area is all the area that's around the object. So this red part would be considered negative space because there's nothing really there except for the color red. This right here would be considered positive space because the object has, the main part of my object is these lines and the black. That's positive. So let's give you a simple version. This right here is a simple version of positive and negative space. So my white paper, that's negative space. The minute I cut out a shape and put it on top of that white space, it is now positive. That's positive. That's positive. This is positive. That's positive. Even that little black dot is positive, and then all of this is considered negative. There's nothing there. And I did it here too. Now, the way you do that is I took my bag of scraps and I looked through it. So I have some shapes, that 4 of them, that will fit right here quite easily. They were all the same size, so your sketchbook is basically this size, or a piece of construction paper is about this size. So you've got 4, okay? And you come up with any colors you want, it doesn't really matter. And then you're gonna need 2 pieces of paper that are about the same size. You want to fold it in half, lengthwise. Now on this one, I want it to be a wide apple, so I took it and folded it widthwise. So you guys call this hot dog fold and this hamburger fold. So when I drew it, just to see how it would look on my paper, but I made sure that I put one piece there and then I drew the other one there. This was my test. Once you've decided, I like the way that looks, I think I'll duplicate that. Then you can go ahead and get your paper. I'm going to make green because I think green and orange look good together. I could even put the black. It doesn't have to, you know, apples are not, excuse me, apples are not orange, but I just, in art, you get to do whatever you want. So I can do black, or I could do green, or I could do a both. And I'm thinking, ooh, I think I might want to do both. So I'm going to take both of my pieces of paper, and I'm going to fold them in half, lengthwise, because my design is this way. I'm going to put one aside. I'm going to take my design and make sure that I like the way it looks. Yeah. And then I'm going to draw on it and then cut it out. So it's going to be easier for me to draw on the green one. So I'm going to put this one here and I'm going to duplicate my drawing. So I had my leaf and my pear. Pears are yummy and juicy. And I'm going to cut that out. Now the pieces you cut, you want to save because you're going to use them. So that's my middle piece. And I'm going to cut it in half carefully, and then I'm going to save them. I'm cutting out the main part of my pear. And that came out nice. I'm going to cut it in half right on the line and save it. Oops, I dropped a piece. And then I'm going to cut. Now notice I didn't cut all the way through, because then that'll just make it harder. I'm going to have extra pieces that I'll have to keep track of. And then here's the outline of my pear. I'm going to cut that in half. You're going to need some glue. You're going to put glue on one half of your paper. Now because this was over here, I'm going to put it on this side. I think it looked pretty cool that way. I'm planning this. I mean, I could put it here, but I'm thinking if I put it this way, it will be like the opposite of what I have here. So I have to remember, okay, I want it here, so that means I have to turn it over and put the glue on that side. When you do art, you actually have to plan your work. So before I put glue on, I want to make sure this goes on this half. Okay, it doesn't go here. I can put it this way, but then you see my lines from where I wrote on it. So when I drew on it, I didn't write, I drew. Got a piece coming off. So I'm going to put some glue there. That's the other part. You're probably wondering, what in the world is that? Well, that piece goes right there. Put a little glue on that. So what's missing? That's right, the other leaf. And I can duplicate it on this side also. So once again, I want to make sure that I put the glue on the right side. So that means I have to put it on the back. And I want to make sure if you get confused, just put your piece back like a puzzle piece, and then you know it gets flipped over. And my leaf goes right there. And there you have it. My positive and negative space artwork. Now, you can actually do this with any shape. Let me show you something more complicated. They actually have a name for this particular design. It's called notan. It's a Japanese word for interaction between dark and light, positive and negative space, symmetry and asymmetric. So that's another concept we can talk about another time, is symmetry. We usually talk about that when we talk about balance. So same concept, but a little more complicated. You would have your rectangle and you would cut out a piece and then you just flip it over and glue it. Cut out a piece, flip it over and glue it. Cut out a piece, flip it over and glue it. Cut out a piece, flip it over and glue it. Cut out a piece, flip it over and glue it. Cut out a piece. I could have gone this way. I could have even gone down that way for when you have corners. So it's a little harder to keep track of. So you can either do the simple version or you can do the complicated version. Here's an example of an even more complicated one. Make sure that your square is small so that when you cut out your pieces, you'll have room to put it on here. This one almost didn't fit. It's coming off at the top. I wanted it to be all arrows. So, have fun with your positive and negative space artworks. Bye.